All right, space fans, buckle up because we're going deep on a topic I know you're already buzzing about.
Yeah, lots of folks are talking about this one.
It's Asteroid 2024 YR4, right? The one that popped up late last year. And honestly, every time I see a headline about a potential asteroid impact, it's like, should I be worried? Should I not be worried?
It's kind of hard to tell sometimes.
Totally. And that's why we're here, to cut through the hype and get to the facts.
Sounds like a plan.
So 2 big questions today. First, how likely I guess this thing to actually hit us? And second, if it did de-hit, what would that look like?
I gotta say, some of those headlines are making it sound like a full-on Armageddon situation.
Well, let's just say Hollywood tends to exaggerate things a bit.
Okay, good to know. So first things first, how big are we talking here with 2024 YR4?
So right now, the estimates put it somewhere between 50 and 100 meters across.
Okay, so not exactly tiny. Yeah, it's not a little pebble. That's like somewhere between the Statue of Liberty and the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Whoa, okay, so definitely big enough to cause some serious damage if it did hit.
Absolutely. But the good news is we're getting a much clearer picture thanks to the James Webb Space Telescope.
Oh, right. I read that they were pointing the James Webb at it.
Yep, and the James Webb is perfect for this kind of rapid response observation because it has this incredible infrared capability.
So like infrared vision for space.
Exactly. It can see through dust clouds that would normally block our view with older telescopes.
So it's like the James Webb has a breaking news mode for asteroids. That's pretty awesome.
It is. And the data we're getting is helping us refine the size estimates and trajectory of 2024 YR4.
Okay, but even with a range of sizes,
Yeah.
Can scientists estimate how much damage this thing could do if it hit?
Actually, yeah, there's the kind of rule of thumb.
Oh.
The crater an asteroid makes is roughly 10 to 20 times its size.
Okay, so if we're talking 50 to 100 meters, we could be looking at a crater 1 or even 2 kilometers across.
Potentially, yeah.
Whoa, imagine that. A crater the size of Central Park.
It would be a significant event, to say the least.
Definitely. But, okay, big question here. Where would this thing even hit?
Right now, the potential impact corridor is pretty vast. It stretches from the Pacific all the way across South America, the Atlantic, and into Southeast Asia.
So basically nowhere is safe.
Well, not quite. That's just the zone of possibilities based on the current data. As we gather more information, that corridor will narrow down.
Okay, so with such a huge range of possible impact zones, I'm guessing the chances of a direct hit aren't actually that high.
You're right. The current estimated probability of impact is between 1 and 2%.
Okay, so that sounds pretty small.
It is. But we have to understand what those numbers mean in this context.
Yeah, I feel like percentages can get a little tricky when we're talking about planet-sized objects.
Exactly. It's not like flipping a coin. Think of it this way. The asteroid's path isn't a straight line. It's more like a cone of possible trajectories. Yeah. We call it the uncertainty cone. As we get more data, that cone narrows down. And if 2024 YR4 stays in the center of that cone, it'll actually pass Earth at about the distance to the moon.
Okay, phew. So it's a pretty safe distance then, right?
Definitely. It's important to remember that space is really, really big.
It is. And it's funny because I feel like most textbook diagrams get that Earth-Moon distance totally wrong. It always looks so close.
Yeah, they definitely don't do it justice.
Like if Earth were the size of a basketball, the moon would be a tennis ball about 24 feet away.
Yeah, that's a much better visual.
So, okay. Let's say worst case scenario, 2024 YR4 veers off course and does hit us. How bad are we talking?
Well, scientists estimate the impact force would be equivalent to about 8 to 10 megatons of TNT.
Megatons. Whoa, that's like nuclear bomb territory, right?
It is, and it might sound crazy, but we actually have some relevant data from that era.
Wait, what do you mean?
Back in the Cold War, there were underwater nuclear tests conducted with yields in that same megaton range.
So we can actually use Cold War nuke data to understand a potential asteroid impact. That's kind of wild.
It is, but it gives us some valuable insights. Those tests did cause localized tsunamis, which would obviously be devastating in the impact zone, but they didn't cause a global extinction event.
Okay, so maybe not quite the end of the world as we know it.
Exactly. A direct hit from 2024 YR4 would be a regional catastrophe, but it wouldn't be a dinosaur-killing, planet-wiping scenario.
Okay, good to know. So it sounds like we're actually getting pretty good at this whole planetary defense thing.
We heard NASA's DART mission is a great example. They successfully deflected an asteroid's orbit as a test run.
Yeah, that was huge. It's pretty incredible to think that we're not just sitting ducks anymore. We're actually developing planetary defense systems.
It's a testament to human ingenuity and our growing awareness of the potential threats out there.
Speaking of understanding threats, I wanted to ask about the Torino scale. That's the tool scientists use to assess the danger of asteroids, right?
Exactly. It was created by astronomer Rick Binzel to help communicate the risk in a clear and consistent way.
Okay, but honestly, I've seen it mentioned in the news, and I'm always a little fuzzy on the details. Can you break it down for me?
Sure. So the Torino scale ranks the hazard level of asteroids on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 means no risk, and 10. But let's just say that would be a very bad day for everyone.
Got it. So where does our friend 2024 YR4 fall on this cosmic danger scale?
Currently, it sits at a 3.
A 3. So not quite DEFCON 1, but still something to keep an eye on. What does a level 3 actually mean in practical terms?
It means the asteroid is worth monitoring closely, but it doesn't warrant panic. The more data we gather, the more likely it is that the risk level will decrease, probably all the way down to 0.
So it's more of a heads up than a duck and cover situation.
Exactly. It's a call to action for the astronomy community to gather more information and refine the trajectory calculations.
So basically, more science, less sensationalism.
Exactly. And it's worth mentioning that a level 3 can actually spur global action.
Oh, really? Like how?
Well, for example, China formed a planetary defense office specifically in response to the potential risk posed by 2024 YR4.
Wow. That's incredible. It's great to see how this kind of situation can lead to international collaboration. It really does highlight the fact that we're all in this together when it comes to planetary defense.
Absolutely. Global awareness and cooperation are key. We'll dive into that a bit more when we come back for part 2 of this deep dive.
All right, sounds good. See you soon, space fans.
You know, it's pretty amazing to think that we're even at a point where planetary defense is a thing.
I know, right? It used to be just the stuff of sci-fi movies, like some far-off future problem.
Totally. And yet here we are actually taking steps to protect our planet from these cosmic threats.
It really makes you appreciate how far we've come in our understanding of space.
It does. And it also highlights the importance of separating fact from fiction, especially when it comes to those attention-grabbing headlines.
Oh yeah. Speaking of headlines, you know those asteroid on a collision course with Earth type stories?
Those are always a classic.
They make it sound like we should all be running for the hills.
Right. It's like they're trying to write the next blockbuster disaster movie instead of reporting on the actual science.
Exactly. And that's where experts like Rick Binzel come in.
Ah, yes, Rick Binzel, the creator of the Torino scale.
He seems like a pretty level-headed guy.
He is. He's all about data-driven decision-making and continuous observation, not knee-jerk reactions.
And he made it very clear that a level 3 on the Torino scale is not a reason to panic.
Nope. It's a signal to pay attention, gather more information, and refine our understanding of the situation.
So basically a call to action for the scientific community to do what they do best.
Exactly.
Which brings us back to the importance of relying on credible, fact-based sources for information.
Absolutely. You can't just believe everything you read on the internet.
Seriously, there's so much misinformation out there. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by all the asteroid hype out there, remember to take a step back, breathe, and look for those reliable sources of information.
It's easy to get swept up in the drama, but the reality is that we're making incredible strides in planetary defense.
We are, and it's really inspiring to see how humanity is stepping up to this challenge.
It is. We have brilliant minds like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Rick Binzel leading the way. International collaboration is on the rise, and we have amazing tools like the James Webb Space Telescope giving us unprecedented views of the cosmos.
It's a testament to our ingenuity and our determination to protect our planet.
And speaking of global efforts, I wanted to circle back to something we mentioned earlier about China's Planetary Defense Office.
Oh yeah, that was a really interesting development.
It is. It shows how seriously they're taking this threat.
So what exactly does this office do?
Essentially, it's a dedicated agency responsible for coordinating China's efforts in detecting, tracking, and potentially deflecting asteroids that pose a threat to Earth.
So they're investing in research, developing new technologies, and establishing communication channels with other space agencies around the world.
Exactly. They recognize that planetary defense is not something any one nation can handle alone.
It's a global issue that requires global cooperation.
Absolutely. We're all in this together.
It's fascinating to see how this emerging field of planetary defense is shaping global politics and collaboration.
It is. It's a whole new dimension of international relations.
And it makes you wonder what other global challenges could be addressed through this kind of cooperative approach.
That's a great point. Maybe planetary defense can serve as a model for how we tackle other issues that require collective action, like climate change or pandemics.
It's a hopeful thought in a world that often feels so divided.
It is. It's a reminder that we have the capacity to come together and face challenges head-on, especially when the stakes are high.
And when it comes to planetary defense, the stakes are about as high as they get.
Absolutely. It's about the survival of our species and the preservation of our planet.
So no pressure, right? But seriously, it's amazing to see how humanity is rising to the challenge.
We're not just passively accepting our fate. We're actively shaping it.
And that agency comes from knowledge, innovation, and collaboration.
Exactly. It's really kind of mind-blowing when you think about how much our understanding of space has changed. Like, we're not just stargazing anymore. We're actually thinking about how to protect ourselves out there.
Right. It's like we've gone from just looking up in awe to realizing that space can actually pose some serious threats.
Exactly. And it's not just asteroids either. We're talking about space debris, solar flares, even the potential for future pandemics originating from space.
Hold on. Pandemics from space. Okay, now that's a whole other deep dive we need to have.
Yeah, that one's a bit out there.
Yeah.
But you get the point. The more we venture into space, the more we realize there are all these potential challenges we need to be prepared for.
Totally. It's like we're graduating from explorers to caretakers, not just of Earth, but maybe even beyond.
I like that analogy.
Oh, yeah.
It really captures this shift in perspective that's happening.
It's like we're not just visitors in space anymore. We're becoming residents.
And with that comes a sense of responsibility. You know, we need to be mindful of our impact out there, just like we're trying to be more mindful of our impact here on Earth.
Absolutely.
And remember, knowledge is power. The more we understand about these threats, the better equipped we are to deal with them.
So to our listeners, we leave you with this final thought. We're becoming a more space-aware species, but there's always more to learn and explore. What other steps can we take to ensure the long-term safety and sustainability of our planet and our future in space? It's a big question, but one worth thinking about.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
And until next time, keep looking up and stay curious.